Welcome back to the Country Issues podcast, and welcome to any newcomers. My name is Jack.
And my name is Dylan, and today we will be talking about child labor and its correlation to a country's well-being.
Ooh, now this is a bit of a touchy subject, but it's also a pretty interesting subject.
I absolutely agree with that, Jack. So I say we take a look at the stats and facts when it comes to child labor, and if there's a relationship between child labor rates and a country's well-being.
Alright then, the two countries we'll be looking at will be China and India.
Straight away, when you pull up the stats, you can already see that these countries have a lot left to be desired when it comes to well-being.
Definitely. India ranks 129th on the Human Development Index, and China ranks 85th on the Human Development Index. You can get a pretty clear idea of what those countries are like. But I think it's time we have a look at those countries' child labour stats.
I think it's best that we start off with what child labor really is, since people should know what is actually considered child labor.
That's right. Since not all work is actually considered child labour, work given to children or adolescents is considered child labour when it deprives children of their childhood, becomes harmful to physical and mental development, interferes with schooling by depriving them of the opportunity to attend school.
However, if a child or adolescent does work that does not inhibit a child's personal development and health, or does not interfere with schooling, then it is not child labor and is perfectly fine.
Alright, now that we've gone that out of the way, I say we move on to the countries, starting off with India.
Absolutely. As Jack mentioned earlier, India is ranked 129th on the Human Development Index, and unfortunately, it is one of the countries that is plagued by child labor.
You're right, Dylan. It's been found that in India, there are 10.1 million child workers aged between 5 and 14.
Wow, that is a scary amount of child laborers. It seems that the industries that they work in include textiles, steel production, brick processing, and agriculture.
Really? So why are there so many child laborers? How did this become such a big problem and get to the stage it's at today?
Well, you see, about a third of India is under the poverty line. And as such, the parents of these child laborers have no other choice but to force their children into working in order to feed their families.
That's just terrible. I'd say that the law is to blame for this problem, wouldn't you?
Right on, Jack. The law is to blame, since it does not adequately protect and support children's rights. And as such, many children are able to work under family enterprise companies.
Can you believe that? And it only gets worse. One of India's most alarming well-being stats is that one child is kidnapped every 8 minutes, and even worse, half of them are never found again.
Wow, I think I'm beginning to understand why India has such a low ranking on the Human Development Index.
And one of the worst things is that child laborers don't even get paid a lot.
Yeah, a 14-year-old laborer named Kajal only gets paid 10 to 15 rupees, which is equivalent to, get this, 28 Australian cents.
It's just crazy to think about how bad poverty is in these foreign countries. I think it's time we move on to China right after an ad break. Welcome back, everyone. When we last left off, we were just about to talk about China.
Good idea. China is ranked 85th on the Human Development Index, and although it is not as bad as India, China still has a child labor problem.
Definitely. China is a bit of a weird case since we don't actually know the full extent of severity in child labor in China due to the lack of information that has been released by the Chinese government.
Well, that can kind of be expected, considering the fact that the Chinese government does have a reputation for bending the truth and hiding the facts.
Yeah, but despite that, we still have significant proof that child labor is still a problem.
That's right. Some facts are that children who live in rural areas of China are more likely to participate in child labor. Their counterparts in urban areas of China.
Yeah, it's a shame, but due to the lack of money in those areas, the parents have no choice.
terrible, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. There's also been evidence that shows a link between child labour participation and increased chances of dropping out of school.
It's just not fair, is it?
You're absolutely right. It's unfair and it deprives children from having a proper education and having the chance to learn.
Child labor has a real impact on the livelihood and well being of the children involved in it.
Indeed, it does. Children need to be learning. They deserve an education that can help them prepare to get a job in the future. It's a basic human right.
One of the arguments that comes up is that parents have simply no choice to send their children to work in order to feed their families.
But at what cost? It doesn't help the parents. Imagine sending your 5-year-old child to a brick-making factory. That idea certainly wouldn't help me sleep at night.
As people living in conditions marginally better than a vast majority of the world, we can sometimes take for granted some of the basic things that help make where we live that bit better.
Exactly. These kids working in factories can't form healthy relationships in a safe environment. They're not free to do what kids do.
I don't think we need to continue to emphasize the major impact of child labor on the well being of children.
Although these may seem like a lot of scary and sad facts, people are out here helping kids in dire situations. In this case, there are the people over at the Save the Children Foundation.
For those of you who don't know Save the Children, they are a group who have set out to campaign for the rights of children all over the world and act as a voice for these children.
They're a great organisation with a good cause and have done a great job of reaching out to children that are in need and have directly reached out to over 40 million children throughout 116 countries.
We highly recommend you check out their website, and if you're able to, donate to them.
Well, that about wraps up this episode of the Country Issues podcast. Until next time, my name is Jack.
And my name is Dylan. We'll see you next week.